This is a demonstration of the GeoSketch volume of interest tools. There's one tool to create the volume of interest, and this is not just an area of interest because the height of the volume is taken into account. And you build a volume of interest using a tool similar to the SketchUp polygon tool, but the number of sides on the volume of interest are only relevant for the first option, which is the Focus VOI tool, which will operate on all the aux views in the current model. There's also a Focus Volume of Interest tool for RPC images, in which case it will operate on all the RPC images that are stored on disk in a single directory. And then the third option is for pictometry warehouses, in which case it will operate on all the images in the pictometry warehouse. So for the first example, we'll choose a volume of interest for this building here. So we'll first use the volume of interest tool, and we digitize a point at the center of our volume of interest. And then just like with the polygon tool, we can key in the number of sides. So I'll just key in 3 since this building is triangular in shape. And then we'll just digitize that corner of the rectangle. And there's our volume of interest, and we can adjust the height of it according to how high we want to establish that building to be. So now that we've got our volume of interest, we'll select the Focus Volume of Interest tool. It will go around and find the images that are closest to the sides of that volume, and it'll cut out a segment of them that matches the building that we build our volume of interest around. I'll turn on the high opacity for those, and we can see now we have new aux views that are focused on that building from the angles that we specified. And if we use the drawing tools and put the cursor there, we can map to that polygon. If I put it at the bottom corner here, it maps to that location on the nadir image. For the next example, I'll start with a new model. In this case, I'll load in a nadir image that comes from Rio de Janeiro. This is a satellite image from Digital Globe. And satellite images like this can be very large, so we have an option to just import a segment of them. This one actually isn't very large, but I'll just bring in a 1024 by 1024 segment of it. And now we'll build a volume of interest around this building. So I'll go back and use the same volume of interest tool, digitize the center. Now instead of a triangle, I'll select 4 sides, and I'll digitize here. And this is a low building, so I'll drop that down a little bit. Now we'll go to the RPC Focus Volume of Interest, and it will go to the directory where we selected, and there could be any number of RPC images here. Select them, and then it went around and found all of the images that could see that volume of interest, and it cut out a subset of that image that's just focused on that building, and it tells us the size of each of those sub-images and the total size. And when I click OK, it brings those in as aux views, and you can see that they've been focused in on that building that we build our volume of interest around. For the final example, I'll load in a sector image from pictometry in San Francisco. And here we can see the tower, the pyramid, and we'll build a volume of interest over here. Use the same volume of interest tool, digitize at the center, and I use a square profile. And this is a low building, so I'll move the height of the volume down. Now I'll go back to the pictometry warehouse tool, and I'll navigate to where the warehouse is stored for San Francisco. And I'll select the shape file. In this case, there's 3 shape files, so I'll choose the option to load all of them. And now I'll use the footprint decomposition for all the images that I read in, as opposed to since I just selected standard metadata. And rather than using this filter for selecting images, the prompt tells me that I can use the tab key to do a focus VOI since I have a volume of interest. So I'll hit the tab key. I have options to specify how many ortho images that I will read in for that area, and then how many oblique images per direction. So I'll take the default. It'll read in as many as 2 images for each of the oblique directions. So I'll select OK. I don't need to save changes to this model. So it will construct this in a new model that will have the ortho image centered at the origin of my SketchUp axis system. So there are the images. I have the ortho image, which is centered on that building that I selected, and then I have two oblique images from each direction. I can look at these and verify that the building that I want is in them. In this case, it's in there, but it's kind of off to the edge, so I can choose to delete that particular ox view. And we can see that in the other image, we have a better framing of that building. And now we're ready to construct the geometry and texture the faces of that building. So that completes the demonstration of the volume of interest tools.